Welcome back to HPL. We saw Jab take a 1-0 lead over Neirea here. Neirea came out of the gate swinging, but it wasn't enough to take down Jab in game one.
Yeah, I'm able to be checked every single step of the way, starting with Iron Beak L, going into Imgang Boss, and then a Blackwing Corruptor. A very well-timed one, able to completely swing the board around. And something else that was really interesting from Jab in that game was the fact that he knew exactly when to start applying pressure. Chose not to trade with the Mad Scientist in that Blackwing Corruptor, pushed 5 damage to face, started turning up the heat on Neirea. But guys, game 2 is getting underway right now, Neirea versus Jab.
Yeah, just love the way Jab's been playing his last couple of games. You know what? His draws have been great in his queue-ups as well.
Yeah, I mean, right here, he's playing this Malagos deck again. It looks like Soulfire, very telling of the fact that is in his, that Malagos is in his deck, wants those major burst damage turns. If you couple Dark Bomb and Soulfire and Malagos with an Emperor Thaurissan, you're looking at tremendous damage spikes out of nowhere.
Yeah, Neirea's playing his take on Grim Patrons a little bit different than other ones and geared towards a longer game. I'm going to stop myself for a minute here. That is an Acidic Swamp Ooze in Jab's opening hand. That could be big in this game. Yeah. But Neirea has Shield Maiden in this build, or at least that's what we've seen from him so far.
Yeah, we've been seeing him play Shield Maiden. In his interview, he mentioned that it was just a more consistent threat that was kind of doing the exact same thing as he wanted some of his other threats to do. So really different take on things, and we haven't seen anyone else so far in HPL do that, just Neirea.
It seemed to really help him in a lot of the aggressive matchups that he's played against here with Grim Patron.
Yeah, so Imgang Boss is going to be the first threat on the board, and Neirea has no weapons to utilize his life total at all, just going to be forced to play the Snowish Inventor and start digging.
Yeah, he needs a death fight, and he needs one quick.
You know, I mean, not a lot of pressure in his hand. He does have some key cards right now, but the big factor here is that he's going to need more time to get it done.
Yeah, Neirea does have a Cruel Taskmaster in his hand, though, if this turn comes back around with the same kind of board state, where he can really finish off this Imgang Boss. But now it's going to be a 3-5, so it's going to be a little bit harder for Neirea to deal with. And, yep, Jab's going to push for damage here this turn.
Like pushing the damage in this spot, he knows that Neirea has been playing Shield Slam in the past, so every point of Armor Shred going to make a big difference in this game. And as far as he's concerned, Neirea doesn't have a favorable attack here, so why put that at risk?
Absolutely. Now, you might see him slam against the defender of Argus here this turn if he wants to draw an extra card. He's got a lot of options here, and he needs to dig through his deck as much as he can. He really needs to find something like Death Spike going forward.
Yeah, Emperor Thaurissan, not a bad pickup.
Not a bad one at all.
It's a matter of whether or not Jab can get the damage rolling to put a lot of pressure on Neirea. He started that here early on, and I would kind of expect him to continue. With Mortal Coil and Implosion in his hand, he's got a lot of potential to start dealing damage.
Yeah, he's got a lot of great options in his hand here going forward. Just a ton of burn, already got the Malagos. All he needs to do is get in little chips of damage here or there and not fall to one of Neirea's combos.
Yeah, so 3-point damage roll.
Oh, great roll here. He can use both Mortal Coils if he wants to.
Yeah, I wonder if he's going to trade in this Defender of Argus here as well.
Yeah, since, I believe he will, since there are cards like Whirlwind and stuff in Neirea's deck. You want to get a little extra value and not give up your Defender of Argus here.
Yeah, so Neirea just going to continue to dig. I mean, no effective options to develop his board this turn. This 3-5 Imgang Boss really starting to become a bit of a worry.
Yeah, he can shield block here, gain a little bit of life, draw a card. You can even play a Loot Hoarder here as well. We see Jab has another Mortal Coil, but if it trades for that, you're fine. If it trades for one of these imps, you're fine as well. But he's like, ooh, I was going to say, he might try to pad his life total a little bit here with Whirlwind, but, thought better of it.
Yeah, I mean, Whirlwind would be a very interesting choice, I think. Considering that Imgang Boss is in play, I mean, how much work are you actually getting done?
You're only saving 2 life, yeah.
I think I would just like to see him shield block and look forward to that Emperor turn. There is going to be a lot of pressure kind of building against him, but what option does he have?
Yeah, it's exactly what you said. There's going to be a ton of pressure coming at him over the next turn, but again, what else can he do?
Yeah, I don't really think he has that many viable options. Second Imgang Boss picked up for Jab. Cannot mind seeing that one bit.
Ooh, Blackwing Corruptor's a pretty good one as the game goes on as well.
This deck seems like it's so well built to tackle what Grim Patron Warrior's going to throw at it. It just has great cards at every step of the way. Even Hellfire, if your opponent gets those big swings on board, you can clear out all those Grim Patrons. I mean, that's what we've seen people struggle with, is when there's so many Grim Patrons that get added to the board, they don't have a way to check that. Hellfire does that beautifully. Yeah,
Hellfire's a great one, and this Acidic Swamp is just sitting in Jab's hand because Neirea hasn't drawn an actual weapon yet, but you know what? Let's talk about where it's going to go from here. Emperor Thaurissan's going to gain a ton of mana advantage here. Neirea's very close to be able to having some gigantic turns.
Yeah, I mean, the first thing he's going to have to do is chew through that 3-5 taunt, and Jab does have some very strong responses to this Emperor.
Yeah, I don't think he's going to let him. He's going to Blackwing Corruptor here and move some imps into this guy.
You absolutely cannot let this Emperor live when you have such fantastic answers to it. Also gets more board development out of this. But
a lot of threats from Jab.
He's got a lot of stuff in his hand that could be very dangerous moving forward. I mean, if he finds something like an Execute, this whole board could turn around very easily.
And there's a Death Spite, something he's been looking for almost the entire game.
He does have to worry about the amount of pressure, though, now. I mean, Jab's got 8, 9, he's got 11 points of damage on the board as it stands. So going to pad his life total a little bit more. There's that Shield Maiden. that we mentioned, but I have to think he's going to want to set up this Death Bite and then move and then look to get a massive turn on the next one. But if he takes his 3 extra damage, I mean, how much damage does Jab have on the backswing here? You know, can he afford to take this 3 damage by swinging with a Death Bite?
Yeah, you saw him actually, pull it back there. I don't even know if he can take this damage from here. He knows about the reach that Jab has in his deck. He knows he has things like Soulfire and Dark Bomb. He might be worried about dying this turn.
I mean, that looks like it's going to be just enough if he decides to attack. I mean, this is really, really, really cutting it close. I mean, he's thinking through all of his options right now. I don't know if he's going to put Jab on the range of having 10 points of burst damage out of his hand, though.
Yeah, I mean, this is I was about to say, you have to set up your Death Bite here. Like, you have to do it to win from this game.
Yeah, he's going to have Cruel Taskmaster to add behind this, but Jab only needs 21 points of damage right now. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Looks like 19 damage available for him going into this next turn. 20 points of damage, actually, with that extra Imp. This might have been perfectly calculated by Neirea, actually. Even thinking about interraging at the very last moment.
Yeah, maybe Whirlwind. He thought about maybe Whirlwinding as well that turn. Not another, another Corruptor here picked up by Jab. Not a bad card as well. He's going to do some math here, make sure that he doesn't have lethal against Neirea.
He's 1 damage short of doing this. So if Jab's really smart about what's going on here, I expect him to make the right trades to kind of avoid a nightmare situation. But how does he move forward from that? I mean, the Blackwing Corruptor will give him the extra 3 damage to set up lethal next turn. But he's got to be worried about his own health just a little bit here.
Yeah, I think one of the things you can do here is you can run your imps into this Cruel Taskmaster and then the other one into Neirea, and then use this Acidic Swamp Ooze. That way, Neirea doesn't get the Whirlwind effect next turn, because you just have to know he has stuff like Grim Patron in his hand. He has to.
He's drawn so many cards, and he's obviously working really hard to set up this Death Bite. I mean, I would be shocked if Acidic Swamp Ooze didn't come into play this turn.
Yeah, and these plays still allow Jab to push through a ton of damage and force lethal next turn as well.
I mean, maybe he's not going for Acidic Swamp Ooze, though. You know, the fact that he traded in the second Imp instead of letting the Death Rattle. Wow, Jab actually missed a point of damage here, by the way.
Yeah, he did miss a point of damage here as well.
Could have pushed that Imp in the face and made sure this was the situation. Sitting with 4 minions on the board, though. I mean, how worried is he about his life total? This is how worried he is about his life total. Going to head anti-Healbot here and keep himself at 30.
Maybe he caught the game yesterday with the crazy Froth Berserker. Frothing Berserker. He doesn't want anything like that to happen.
I'm curious if this is still enough damage for Neirea, though. I mean, he's got Grim Patron, he's got Frothing Berserker. I've seen this situation happen so many times, I have to believe this is more than enough damage to actually end this game. I think this is the full 30. He's got 2 Whirlwind effects to come into this. The Imp Gang boss making more Imps is just going to add more damage to the the Frothing Berserker. I mean, this looks like enough to me. The Grim Patron's going to be able to shore this up.
And the power of this deck is undeniable and just unbelievable that we're seeing here over the last couple of days. We saw a lot of losses from it early in HPL, but it is coming back with a vengeance these last couple of days and just winning so many games from unwinnable spots.
I mean, look at how much damage this is. Now, this is insanity. Even going to make sure that he trades off his board properly so that he gets more damage
and
here.
More minions are going to come off this Imp Gang boss when he Whirlwinds the next time, so he's still getting the full amount of damage here that he would have gotten before trading.
Yeah, 5 minions on board, exactly enough to make the 2 extra Grim Patrons he needs.
It's going to be more than enough.
Yeah, that's too much damage. Wow, from 30 to 0 on
30
turn
damage in one game.
8. You are not safe from this deck when you give them this much time. And this is the kind of strategy that Neirea is looking for to really punish Jab. If he's not going to put a ton of pressure on him, guess what? He's going to combo him out of the game.
Yeah, you saw the full 34. He did 34 points of damage that turn.
That is crazy that this deck is able to deal that much damage. I mean, but this is sort of a side effect from Jab's strategies when he comes into this. If he can't end these games a little bit more quickly, he does give Neirea some time to find his right combos. I mean, the fact that he drew so many cards, it's not a surprise that he has this much damage. The bigger surprise is that there's a way to deal that much damage, honestly. But the fact that he's utilizing this, that Jab didn't have the taunts to protect himself, I mean, 30 health. 30 health?
Yeah, that's a little unfair.
How much more safe can you possibly be? But that is a big illustration of how quickly sometimes you need to end games when you're playing against certain strategies.
Yeah, and Jab might have to go back to the drawing board after seeing that. He had a great draw against Neirea there, was at the full 30 with a gigantic board state, threatening lethal next turn, and he still died from out of nowhere. So what you have to think is he going to go to something more controlling? Is he going to go to something that's even more aggressive to really punish Neirea if his draw is like that again, a little bit slow? So we'll have to see if adjustments are made on both sides. And I might think Neirea is going to queue up this deck again.
Yeah, Emperor Thaurissan being the catalyst, of course, to that
Unbelievable.
turn, giving him so much mana to be able to play all those sort of crazy things. If you want to take a look for yourself at exactly how all that happened, you can head over to pvplive.net and see the recap for yourself. Everything that happened to that game can be seen on there, as well as their full competitive histories, anything you need to know about Hearthstone.
If you want to know how to deal 30 points of damage in one turn,
you can go take a look at that turn and see exactly how it's done. Guys, this series is all tied up at 1 game apiece now, but once again, they're on fire. 4 straight wins for each one of these guys, but one of those streaks is going to be broken tonight. Don't go anywhere, guys. You're watching Hearthstone on PvP Live.